大家下午好啊！欢迎各位来宾参加我们体验易比斯及 Whisper 我们一起举办的香港顶尖国际名校网上招生讲座。我是今天的普通话主持人文芳，我是一位普通话语言学老师。那么刚刚呢是我们的Jenny 她是我们的英文的 MC 我们的主持人。那么今天呢，我们主要介绍2所学校分别是 YMCA 和耀中国际学校。好，我们去到下一页。以下是我们今天的会议流程。首先呢，我们会介绍企业易比斯和 Whisper 2家公司。接下来呢是开幕式，然后就是我们2间学校的校长的介绍。当中呢会有提问的环节 Q&A 的环节。那最后呢就是家长比较关心的签证常见问题的一些解答。我们的讲座呢将在5点前结束。好，下一页。易比斯集团呢致力实现可持续发展，并且在日常运作当中与盈利、人文和环境之间取得平衡。我们在为投资者提供合理回报的同时，竭力照顾环境及社会的需要，肩负社会企业责任。集团的主要业务包括人工智能科技、教育与出版社、健康科学、物业发展、物业投资。业务呢是遍布全球的。好，下一章。企业易比斯呢致力于运用科技提升学习体验，激发学习兴趣，培养科学的学习习惯，让全球学生更便捷地获取优质的教育资源。企业易比斯一直秉承世界顶尖名校规划之路，办理启航的服务理念，致力为全球家庭提供专业的国际教育咨询服务。我们全面评估学生的综合能力，为其制定个性化的培训计划，提供针对性的课外活动指导，帮助学生达成梦想目标。好，下一页。那 Whisper 呢是全港第一个集齐教育和亲子产品的资讯平台，有超过5000间教育机构及亲子产品的资讯，包括学校、教育中心、升学顾问、游乐场、假日营地、医疗保健、慈善机构及儿童相关产品服务等等。好，下一页。那么本次的讲座呢也特别鸣谢以上的机构。好，下一页。好，那么接下来呢，我们会介绍第一间学校 YMCA。YMCA 呢是一所独特的以社区为导向的港岛私立学校，提供充满活力、面向未来的国际课程。学校于2012年开张，为5到11岁的儿童提供国际小学课程 IPC。2019年的时候，学校获得国际学校理事会 CIS 国际认证。那么接下来我们介绍第一位主讲嘉宾 Mr. Jeff Blake。 他从事国际教育工作超过25年，他明白在学童年幼的时候建立良好的学术基础及正面学习态度的重要性。他作为5个孩子的父亲，他希望呢是可以提供一个充满爱和安全的学习环境，培育未来的主人翁。好，那么接下来我把时间交给 Jennifer， 用英文来介绍一下我们的校长。谢谢 Jennifer。
Thank you, Vivian. Welcome everyone to today's webinar. Our first speaker will be Mr. Jeff Blake, who's the principal of YMCA Christian Academy. So a quick introduction to Mr. Blake here. With over 25 years of international education experience, Mr. Blake understands the importance of building a strong academic foundation and positive attitude towards learning at a young age. Mr. Blake is a father of 5 children, and so he wants to provide a loving and safe environment to nurture and develop young agents. So I'd like to invite Mr. Blake to share his slide and start his presentation. Thank you. Mr. Blake, I hand that over to you.
Well, thank you for that introduction and very warm welcome. It's wonderful to be able to spend some time with you all this afternoon. I do hope that this afternoon you are able to get a better understanding of who we are as a school and whether our YMCA Christian Academy is the right fit, the right choice for your children. A little bit about me to introduce. As was mentioned at the beginning, I am a father. I am significantly a father of 5 beautiful children. I am infinitely blessed with a very wonderful family. I would be nothing as a father, as a partner, without my wonderful wife, Lauren, who you can see in the image there, and my beautiful children, Max, who's 19. He lives in Melbourne. He's already graduated. He's now joined the workforce. On the right-hand side, you'll see Olivia. She is 16 years of age. She'd like to be a surgeon. She's studying at Geelong Grammar at the moment, so she's having a wonderful time. And then you see the little gentleman in the middle. Firstly, Ari, who's sitting in front of me. Ari's just started year 1. And then Finn, who's just started K1. And then Bo. Bo's our youngest, who's going to be 2 in December. So yes, my life is a very, very busy life, but at the same time, it is very joyous. So my role as a father very much comes with me as a principal of a school. I treat my students here as I would my own. So that is a very, very important part of my role. So Jeff Blake as a father, Jeff Blake as a principal, I would be nothing as a principal without my formidable vice principals as part of my team. You will see right next to me is Claire Campbell-John. She is our Curriculum and Development Vice Principal. And next to Claire is Mr. Ronald Valesa, who heads up our Vice Principal role for pastoral care and learning diversity within the school. So we work very, very closely as a team, and our role each and every day is to ensure that our learners are safe, that our learners are happy, and that our learners are learning optimally. So that is our core role at the school. Now, a little bit of history about YMCA Christian Academy. You can see us, the building there on the right-hand side. We have a really wonderful location. We're right in the middle of mid-levels on Hong Kong Island. So a very unique location, which gives us great access to many, many facilities. So we have a 10-year history. We first opened in 2012 under the name Island Christian Academy. And over our rich history, we have always had and been blessed by the sponsoring body, the Chinese YMCA. We, in 2016, achieved our first accreditation, and that is an accreditation for the International Primary Curriculum. I'll tell you a little bit more about the curriculum in a moment. But we're also very proud to be accredited by the Council of International Schools. The Council of International Schools is an independent body who will look at all of the different aspects of our school operation, from teaching and learning to assessment to operations, and they will evaluate very critically to an international standard. And our school is on a cycle of renewing its accreditation regularly. So we have those assurances that our school is always being evaluated and checked to be at that highest international standard. So most recently, in August of 2022, I've been at the school for the last 2 years, and I was presiding in that time over the renaming of the school from Island Christian Academy to YMCA Christian Academy. So one of the other alliances that we have, or accreditations, is with the Future Schools Alliance. This tells parents that as a school, we're not just satisfied with doing what's right for here and for now for our students. We are very focused on what the future high school, university, and workplace demands will be for our students, and making sure that we are taking on the challenge of adjusting our curriculum accordingly to ensure that we are meeting these needs, that we are setting our students up for success. So that's something that we're really proud of. So our school is our community, and our community is our school. Very much our people, the people in our school come first at YCA. Our staff, our families, and our community are all very united around one core thing, and that is doing the very, very best we can to cater for every student and for every need in our school. We first and foremost make sure that our school is a very safe both physically safe and psychologically safe learning environment. We want students to feel included and to feel that they belong as a family in our school. We know that every individual learner comes with their own unique talents, their own unique dispositions, and we focus on making sure that we're catering to each student and their individual needs. We also have some very special focuses as a Christian school in focusing on our community beyond the school, focusing on service learning. We want students to know just how rich it is to contribute to their community and what they gain in terms of the joy and the peace and the love in being part of a community and giving back to that community. Now, the last point there is a very important one. It is our school's motto, and it says a lot about who we are as a school and what we focus on. So it says, we empower students to ignite bright futures of abundance and fulfillment. So the empowerment is a very, very important part of what we do. Our job as educators is not to fill students up with knowledge and skills, get them to complete a test and then say, go on, use that in the world. That is not our approach. Our approach is to ensure that every student feels like an empowered agent in charge and navigating their own learning and development so that they are able to unlock their own brightness. We know that every student is different. Not every student has the same skills, the same capacities, and the same passions. And our job as educators is to ensure that we unlock the brightness, the individual brightness of every student, and make sure that we encourage and support and develop these passions so that they are able to have a future that is full of abundance and fulfillment. Abundance is twofold. We want students not to have so much of a focus on an abundance as the world may portray in terms of material wealth or this job or this university. However, we want a student to know what it is to have an abundance of choice, an abundance of opportunity, to know that their future life and their future studies and work is not restricted to Hong Kong through their social connections at school and beyond. The world is open to them, and that is an abundance that is worth us investing in. We also very much want students to know deeply in their own heart what it is to have abundance of that love and joy and peace and hope that comes from working in and committing themselves to a community. That is something that is really, really important to us and we strive for every day. We also want students to understand fulfillment. Fulfillment is so important. As adults, we all know, if we use the example of COVID, we've had a situation that has come along that has disrupted our regular life and has really challenged us and forced us to be quite flexible and adaptable. For our students, we want students to understand what it is for themselves, to know fulfillment, know it deeply, to know what it feels like to be balanced in their life, to know that if something like COVID or an unexpected circumstance comes along, that they have a capacity in themselves as an agent to rebalance their life, to ask for help as they need it, to re-establish that deep sense of fulfillment. We believe that these elements are so important to develop a fully rounded learner at YCA. And this is something that not only our leadership, but all of our staff strive to model with our students. Our values are very, very important to us as a school, and as a senior leadership team, we really strive to ensure that these are witnessed every day in everything that we do. We strive to be Christ-like, to be visible in our community, to be empowering in the way that we relate to others, to make sure that we focus on well-being and stay connected. We are wanting to also make sure that students don't hide behind walls and our teachers don't hide behind walls, but we are open and vulnerable with one another. Obviously, we are very community focused. We want to make sure that we're thinking outside the box as well and being innovative. And at the same time, wrapping all this up is the ability to find joy, to be joyous. Students are absolutely wonderful in that they teach us as adults every day how to find joy in learning, in finding out things for themselves. And as you can see, the verse there, Mark 10:45, our focus as a school and as a group of educators is to serve, not to be served. One key component, very important component for us, is identifying YCA agency. We want all students and all members of our community to understand and to embody these elements of agency. Agency in itself is a student's ability to recognize and to take charge of their own skills, development, and capacities. It's for them to recognize that they are able to make decisions, to contribute to society, to reflect and engage as an individual in an independent manner. You can see the acronym we use here for agency, which is really helpful for us in helping to really shine a light on what this means. We want our students to be aware, personally, socially aware, but also globally aware of important matters and needs in our planet. We want our students to be green. We want them to be aware of environmental needs and be good stewards of our planet. We want our students to be entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurial in the sense of being able to look at a social problem or an issue and come up with creative projects and solutions to solve those. And in that, we want students to be innovative. We want them to think outside the box, to be creative, and we invest a lot in terms of innovation within our school to provide genuine opportunities to do so. We want our students to be community-minded, to know what it is to invest in community and the dividends and the returns that come as a result. My favorite is why, youthful, that bright-eyed, open-minded attitude where students are willing to try, to learn from mistakes and to always do their best. So agency is key to what we want for our students at YCA. A little bit of practicality. Life at YCA, we open our doors around 7:30. We have a soft start in the classroom. Classes commence at 8 o'clock and concluding at 2:30. We have bus services running from all many locations around Hong Kong Island, as well as the ferry piers. And you can see a couple of photos there of our campus. It is very well equipped in terms of a full science lab, music room, art room, library, indoor climbing wall, rooftop pitch, and outdoor basketball court. We're also very blessed for our relationship with the CYMCA, the school sponsoring body, in that we have access to many other facilities and resources, including the Bridges Street swimming pool just over the road from the school. Beyond this, the CYMCA network offers us camping and recreation facilities as well, which is a real advantage to us. The curriculum at YCA is the International Primary Curriculum. It is for parents who've never heard of the IPC before. It has some similarities to the PYP in that it is an inquiry-based curriculum and it has specific learning goals that are taught through different subject areas. So each unit that a student engages in has a specific theme that starts with an entry point. An entry point is about gaining students' interest and attention, and also understanding what they know within that area of study as well. So engaging students, ensuring that they are invested and interested in the learning is so very, very important. The teacher then constructs a range of learning engagements that take students on a journey as they build their knowledge, they build skills, and they build understandings to a point where they're able to exhibit these in some kind of demonstrative way, either in a project, or quite often we will have students celebrating their learning in what's called an exit point, where we will invite our community in, and there will be either some kind of show or some kind of presentation where we get to celebrate learning together. A really positive thing about the IPC is that it provides a very good foundation in primary learning that prepares students well for transition into other international settings, such as IB schools, secondary schools, or many others. Underpinning our curriculum, underneath the IPC, is our core curriculum. And we have our English and our maths based on UK national curriculum objectives. This is a very important part for us as a school, as we teach these core curricular areas independently from IPC to ensure that we focus in on these this very important learning, so that students are able to progress in a very, very goal-oriented fashion in terms of their core learning for literacy and numeracy. So beyond this, we are very proud of our Chinese curriculum. We have 3 different differentiated pathways, and Chinese is taught daily for a session of 45 minutes. Our Chinese program is centered around students enjoying and learning to love language learning. So they are really well engaged in their learning in their Chinese program, and the students really always come back with a smile on their face and willing to share what they are learning. We have a strong technological focus at the school. We've just invested this year in an innovation lab in the school, where students go beyond applying digital technology. They are now moving into design thinking and creating through project-based learning with a dedicated STEM and innovation teacher. So our IT curriculum is very much integrated across our learning, and students learn a range of digital citizenship skills to ensure that they are strong and well-informed global citizens. We also we are very blessed in terms of the number of specialist areas we offer our students. We offer specialist PE lessons, specialist art, specialist music, and as mentioned, we have a full science lab to explore science in its fullest through STEM. We do have one-to-one device at the school, but we have a range of different devices that we avail to students, as you can see there. So we are very, very pleased to be able to report our international school assessment results for year 4, 5, and 6 as standardized assessments judged internationally. In August of last year, we are thrilled to be able to let you know that our international school assessment reading, writing, and mathematical literacy scores outperformed like schools in all domains. So we're very, very thrilled that as a school that has a very balanced approach to academic and holistic learning, we are very, very thrilled that we are able to produce such high academic standards. And it's also very important to note that these results were achieved during the last year, where the school has been heavily impacted by COVID, by school closure. And that is something that is very, very, we're very proud of our students, very proud of our staff for being able to achieve so well even in that very, very challenging context. We are very rich in our student diversity at YCA. You can see we have representation from over 20 nationalities, and that is something that we are really very proud of. We are able to draw on the strength of this and celebrate our international mindedness on a regular basis through a number of events, celebrations, and regularly in assembly. For admission to YCA, we are obviously in admission season right now. We are looking for our 2023-24 enrolment for students born in 2018 for year 1, for year 2 for those born in 2017. We have Christine, I believe, on the call today as well, and she is a wonderful assistant as soon as you reach out in terms of finding out more about the admissions process or any question for that matter about our school. And I certainly hope today that you've been able to sense a little bit of our heart. We often say we are a small school with a big heart, but I hope you've been able to sense a little bit more about the personality and the type of school we are. We are always open for your phone call or any question that you might have, and we're more than happy to help. Our application period runs from September 1st to the end of October. And as I said, the admissions team and Christine will be more than happy to help you with any questions or any admissions inquiries that you may have. You'll see there's some very helpful links in terms of our website, direct communication via WhatsApp, and also to book a school tour. And before I finish off on this part of our presentation, I really would like to underscore something. It's one thing to be able to hear and see me today and to think, all right, that sounds quite nice. That gentleman seems like a nice gentleman. But it is a very different thing to come and to visit the school. I would advocate very heavily for you, if you are interested, please come and visit our school. It is not anything that I can say, but it is what you can feel when you come into our school environment that makes the YCA experience very unique. It is our teachers, it is their genuine love and care for the students, it is our learning environment that makes YCA special. We are very fortunate in having our open day tomorrow, and we are looking to welcome many families to come and visit to see whether YCA is the right environment for their child. Now, I think that is the end of my presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, with my sincerest thanks, it's been wonderful to spend some time with you. I believe we are now moving on to Q&A.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Blake, for the wonderful presentation. Certainly learned a lot about YMCA Christian Academy, and thank you for the warm welcome, inviting our parents, anyone who's actually interested to be able to go to your open day in person tomorrow. Also, thank you for sharing those, impressive international school assessment results. So from here, we will move into Q&A. So I'll start off with a question to you in English. And once you answer that in English, then we will have Vivian then translate the question and answer into Mandarin for our parents' benefit. So from here, moving on to our Q&A session. The first question I have is, I understand that YMCA Christian Academy, YCA, uses the International Primary Curriculum IPC to teach students and prepare them for secondary education. Why this curriculum, and how does this differ from IB, DSE, the British or US curriculums offered by other international schools? I think a lot of times parents are kind of confused trying to figure out, all the different curriculums. So in this case, if you can name 3 distinct differences or strengths of the curriculum, please do share with us. Also, top 10 secondary schools the kids do go to after graduating from YCA.
Thank you, Jennifer. More than happy to field this question. It is something that I hope to give parents real clarity on today. Like I said before, the international primary curriculum has a lot of similarities to the IB's PYP in that it is a very engaging, child-centered, inquiry-based curriculum. We want our students to enjoy their learning. We want them to engage in their learning. We want it to be meaningful to them. So this vehicle, the IPC, gives us a way in which we're able to engage every learner. We want to also be able to make sure that we're able to focus on individual learning needs within that curriculum. So it's very important that the IPC creates the structure for teachers to develop individual learning goals. We have 3 different distinct domains that are the academic learning goals, the personal learning goals, as well as international learning goals. And this enables us to be very child-centered and very individualized in our approach. The IPC is also, it's developed in the UK, so it sits very nicely and aligns very nicely with our UK core curriculum in English and mathematics. And this provides us a really good balance of the curriculum to, as you say, help prepare them in a very appropriate way to transition not just into one environment, but to a range of potential environments. So it is not just the learning as far as the academic learning, but it is the personal skills and the capacities that they develop along the way that give them the ability to access on a broader scope. So learning, as I said before, it's organized through thematic units, and this is a great way for students to learn because they get to really dig in deeply and they get to learn quite deeply within these different learning areas. I've been working just this week with year 2s who are learning about buildings. So the area is on shelter and buildings. So students are able to get very practical. We're very blessed in Hong Kong. We've got lots of buildings to look at. So we get to do a lot of exploring, a lot of real world and hands-on practical building and learning through doing, which is a huge part of our learning at YCA. So it's about provoking curiosity, something that's meaningful, asking them to ask the right questions, collaborate, and do a lot of critical thinking that helps them to develop as mature learners. The 3 strengths, going back to your original question, the 3 strengths that are really stand out about the IPC is that it has a very well balanced learning process, and that we are able to, as I said, set clear specific learning goals for academics, for personal development, and for their international learning goals. The second element is very important within the IPC. It allows students to really engage deeply in their learning through practical, hands-on, real-world learning that empowers, I get back to that word, empowering students as agents through opportunities for leadership, through opportunities for service learning as well. And most importantly, it prepares them, in being a truly international curriculum, it prepares them for inquiry-based international curricula, such as IB, GCSE, and others. In terms of,
Yeah, and then also, sorry, as we're conscious about time, maybe you can also share the top 10 schools that graduates of YCA then move on to.
Sure, absolutely. We are partnered with a few different schools, but we have students that go to Christian Alliance International School, ESF schools, including South Island School, West Island School, KG5. We have students who go to Carmel Elsa Secondary School, French International, Invictus, Hong Kong International, and some who go to Chinese International. So we have quite a broad network of international schools. And the successful transition of our students to those schools is real testimony to our curriculum.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Blake. So I'd like to invite Vivian to translate the question and answer into Mandarin, please. Vivian?
Okay, thank you, Jennifer, Mr. Jeff Blake. 那么我们刚刚进行了第一个提问啊，题目是 我们了解到 YMCA 呢是使用国际小学课程 IPC 来教授学生，并为他们的中学做好这个准备。那么为什么这个课程和其他的国际学校的提供的 IBDSE 或者是英国或美国的课程有哪些不同呢？然后也请他说出3个明显的差异或者是优势。然后最后的话也分享了一下通过我们学校毕业就读的一些中学的名单。Mr. Jeff Blake 的回答是这样的就是我们会提供给每一个学生在这个课程当中，他们都会他们的参与度都非常的大，然后非常的享受我们的课程。然后课程呢，主要也是个性化的去培养学生，让他们每个人都有个人的目标，而不是同样不单单是每个人都是同样的这个有同样的一个学习的氛围，而是个人定制的然后呢，最大的一个明显的特质呢，就是 IPC 的课程呢是非常的平衡，以及是全面的发展。那可以帮助我们的孩子接受国际教育和他们顺利过渡到任何其他的课程，做好了一些准备。然后呢，因为他特别分享到我们当中明白教育不应该是一刀切的，所以的话呢，我们这个课程最主要的有3个特征，3个优势呢，就是要平衡。它的平衡做得非常好。平衡是什么呢？是平衡我们的学术、我们的个人发展以及国际性的一个发展。那第二个优势呢，就是我们的孩子可以在学习当中深入的去学习，然后培养我们领袖的一个特质，让他们成为国际化的人才呢，做好了一个准备就培养了我们每个学生的个人品质和他的国际的意识。IPC 呢，还有一个独特的学习过程呢，提供了一个结构化的方式来确保我们的孩子可以达到他们学科或者是学术的一个学习目标、个人的学习目标和国际学习的目标。OK， 好，那么最后的话呢是说到通过小学毕业之后可以进入香港的一些著名的学校，那这包括呢宣道国际学校、南岛中学、西岛中学、英基港岛中学。英皇佐治五世学校、加密中学、法国国际学校、因特韦学校、香港国际学校和汉基国际学校等等。那么我们为高年级的学生呢，会提供了优质的这个过渡的服务，让他们尽可能顺利的过渡到中学的学习当中。好，那么接下来的时间交给 Jennifer， 我们进行第2个问题的提问。
Thank you, Vivian. So moving on to the second question, Ms. Blake, as Mandarin is becoming more important as the language of the future where parents are keen to equip their children to work in China, can you tell us more about the Chinese program at YCA? Also, how would you advise non-native parents on supporting Chinese learning at home?
Certainly. We're very proud of the Chinese language program we have at the school. We have invested very heavily in this in terms of, we have 6 Chinese language teachers at the school. Our program is developed around the ACTFL, the American Council of Teaching of Foreign Languages, and we follow the guidelines of the IB language scope and sequence, so that our students are developing their language in a way that transitions very seamlessly to the IB's MYP programs. So as I mentioned before, we have 45 minutes, so a regular Chinese lesson every day based on those 3 differentiated pathways based on student proficiency. We want students to be able to use Chinese in their everyday life and to be able to grow a deeper understanding of how the language works, as well as I mentioned before, as that deeper love for language. We also, that enhances their Chinese learning, we integrate their Chinese learning as much as possible into their IPC learning. So they're learning their IPC unit with the enhancement of the Chinese vocabulary as well. We provide daily home learning practice with cooperation from homeroom teachers to make sure that the amount of learning is not overwhelming for students, but it is suitable. We also have a strong Chinese reading program and an array of learning materials, both for native and non-native level speakers. We also, as you questioned, for non-native speakers, and for families who do not have easy access to support at home. We provide a lot of different layers of support in terms of translations for parents at home, a lot of different resources such as flashcards, videos, online games, workbooks, and with, as I say, with English instructions. So these are some of the ways in which we support and enhance our learning at school through our Chinese program.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. I'd like to invite Vivian to do the translation to Mandarin for question and answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. 刚刚呢提问了第二个问题，就是随着普通话作为未来语言是越来越重要，那么家长们呢都非常热衷于让孩子在中国工作。你能够告诉我们更多关于 YCA 的中文项目吗？另外的话，你是怎么样建议非母语的父母可以在家里面支持到孩子的中文学习的？Mr. Jeff Blake 的回答是这样的 ：YCA 的中文课程呢是以ACTFL 就是美国外语教学委员会能力指南和 IB 语言范围和顺序为标准的。因此的话呢，孩子们在进入中学的时候可以轻松的过渡到这个叫 MYP 就是 Middle Year Program 的课程当中。那么我们学校呢每天都会有45分钟的中文课程，并且呢提供3种途径的这个学习不同的级别。那么我们的目标呢是教学生在日常生活中和他人一起使用我们的语言，从而加深他们对语言工作的原理的理解，以及呢对语言的这个热爱。那么我们的课程呢与 IPC 单元集成，帮助和加强他们的学习。我们也提供日常家庭学习的实践这个包括是会跟班主任去合作，然后确保家庭的学习的量是足够的，是适合的。我们也还有一个中文的阅读计划，提供一系列适合不同学习需求的阅读的材料。正如我们刚刚也说到在 presentation 里面也说到会根据学生的汉语的水平呢，提供3种的途径去学习，而这3个级别呢，他们的教育方式都是不同的，学习的策略和材料也是不同的。那么对于非本地的家庭呢，会通过这个量身夺制的这个闪存卡、视频、在线的游戏、工作本子和英语说明在家中都可以提供这个学习的环境给到孩子们。好，那么这个是我们第2个问题，接下来时间交给 Jennifer 进行我们第3个问题的提问，谢谢。
Thank you, Vivian. Now moving on to the final question that we have. Mr. Blake, I understand that YMCA Christian Academy is a Christian school. If students have different religious beliefs, how do you accommodate this, please? Is Bible studies a required subject that students have to take? Is there any disadvantage for student applicants whose religious denomination are of other religions?
Thank you, Jennifer. We are a very proud Christian school. However, at the same time, we are a very inclusive Christian school. We are not, we accept families of all faiths and of no faith. we are very, very inclusive in that regard. What we have as our common thread, and what is very important to us, is that all of our families subscribe to the same set of values, where I can very, very passionately attest that our community, with the Christian values that unite us, provides a very warm, a wonderful community-oriented place to be and to learn. So in that regard, we do have Christian studies, but they are told through Bible stories in a narrative where students are able to explore the values and understandings within those stories, so that there is no disadvantage for students who come from a different denomination or a different faith background. We are here very international, global citizens, respecting and appreciating each other in a Christian environment, which is a really lovely way to be.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Vivian, I would like to invite you to translate a question and answer into Mandarin. Thank you.
Thank you 我们刚刚进行了第3个提问，题目是我们了解到 YCA 呢是一所基督教的学校，那么如果学生有不同的宗教信仰的话呢，那是怎么样去适应的？圣经研究呢是学生必修课的，是一定要必修的吗？对于宗教教派为其他宗教的学生的申请者有什么不利吗？ Mr. Jeff Blake 的回答是这样的：虽然我们是一所基督教的学校，那么其实同时的话呢，我们也是一所非常包容的学校，我们是欢迎所有信仰或者是甚至是没有信仰背景的家庭的，因为我们的共同点呢是我们统一的爱、社区和关怀核心价值这个才是最重要的。那么我们的社区当中呢，也有很多的非基督教的家庭，那孩子们呢都其实很喜欢我们的这个基督教研究的课程，因为虽然他们来自不同的背景，但是我们提供相同的故事让孩子们去探索，因为呢他会通过这个讲故事的方式去教授孩子们，重点呢就是传达我们的价值观比如说有一些孩子非常喜欢我们那个基督教的一些习俗和这个仪式比如那些唱颂歌倒数等等，那么这些呢都是使我们的学生可以达到独一无二的一个重要的因素。OK， 那么以上呢就是非常感谢 Mr. Jeff Blake 的详尽的回答，谢谢Jennifer。
Thank you very much, Vivian. Thank you, Mr. Blake, for the presentation today. Definitely learned a lot about YCA. I wish you a very, very happy weekend, and I'm sure we will see you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Bye for now.
Thank you.
谢谢。
So from here, we will move on to our next presentation, which will be by Mr. Murray, Mr. Forrest Murray of Chung International School. I would like to invite Mr. Murray to share his slides.
OK， 那么接下来呢，我们会介绍第二间学校耀中国际学校。那我们今天的主讲嘉宾就是 Mr. Murray Forrest， 他从事这个教育事业呢已经有20多年的时间，毕业于伯明翰大学，他拥有历史科荣誉学士学位其后呢也取得了英国学位教师的教育文凭。Mr. Murray Forrest 呢也同时持有 MBTI 教练专业资格。好，那么接下来的时间会交给我们的 Mr. Murray Forrest or Mr. Jennifer, would you like to introduce? Yes.
Thank you very much, Vivian. Thank you for the introduction in Mandarin. Mr. Murray Forrest is the co-principal of primary school for Ymca International School. Mr. Forrest began his teaching career more than 20 years ago, having graduated with a Bachelor of Arts with honors in history from University of Birmingham and a postgraduate certificate of education. He's also a qualified Myers-Briggs personality type indicator instructor. I would like to welcome Mr. Murray Forrest to share his slides and start his presentation. Thank you, Mr. Murray.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, and thank you, Vivian, and thank you, parents, for joining us this afternoon. My name, as you've heard, is Murray Forrest. I am the Western co-principal at the primary section of Chung International School, or YCIS, here in Hong Kong. Now, YCIS has a very long history. We've been in existence now for, this is our 90th anniversary, which makes us the longest truly international school here in Hong Kong. We were founded in 1932 by Madam Chen Hang, and with the intention of educating the youth of China, bringing them forward so that they can pull China up into the 21st century. And that's still our mission today. And from that very early beginning in 1932, we have expanded on a consistent basis. We've grown from just being a small school in Hong Kong to being a very large school in Hong Kong, to moving across to having schools in the mainland when international schools were non-existent there. And in fact, we've moved across to schools in the United Kingdom and the United States of America. So our map looks quite extensive. As you can see, we have schools all the way through mainland China, as well as several schools here in Hong Kong. And we have schools across in Silicon Valley in California in the United States, and a school in Somerset in the United Kingdom. Now, one of those great things about being such a large organization is it allows us to share and cooperate and work between different schools. It also allows our parent body to transfer as their jobs are moving them around or as family situations move them around. It allows our parents and our students to transfer from one school to another with great ease and simplicity. So if, for example, you've been relocated from Hong Kong to Beijing, then you can move from YCIS here in Hong Kong to YCIS in Beijing with no issues. We have a shared vision and educational philosophy, a shared syllabus, an evaluation system, We exchange and train teachers all the time. Teachers from Hong Kong go to other schools send their teachers here. We transfer our students all of the time. And all of our campuses have a very similar feel because we have a very shared ethos. Now, as we've been in existence for a long time, we've been a pioneer of many of the important innovations in quality education. We introduced the concept of play-based learning, or the emergent curriculum, here in Hong Kong, and we were doing that in the 1970s. And our current chief director was the person, Dr. Betty Chan, was the person who brought that into Hong Kong and pushed it through. Since the 1996, we've had our co-principal model, which extends from having two principals, a Western and a Chinese principal, for each one of our schools, extends downwards so that we have a co-teaching model in each one of our classrooms. So each class has a full-time Western teacher and a full-time Chinese teacher, which allows us obviously an amazing ability for bilingual learning. We're a pioneer here in Hong Kong and around the world in learning communities, that ability of moving away from that traditional form of a classroom with a single teacher to a learning community where students are able to move from one space to another and engage and work with as many adults as required. And we're also at the forefront of this inquiry-based, project-based learning, a fantastic move away from that traditional teaching mode that we can all remember so well from our childhoods, that we loved with such a great enthusiasm, and we've replaced that with that project-based inquiry learning. So with that co-teaching model, with that co-teaching and the co-principal model, we have a unique blend of East and West. So we have our co-teaching, we have a fully immersive bilingual environment where we have Western and Chinese teachers in the same room, working with the students, allowing them to bring to the fore their English skills and their Putonghua skills. We have English language and Chinese language curricula that work side by side and are actually now blending into what we call our bilingual learning curriculum, where Chinese teachers and Western teachers are working together in all aspects of the curriculum, both in that project-based learning style, the language lessons, the maths lessons, the PE lessons, everything. So everything is now done or moving towards fully bilingual immersion. And that leads us to our learner portrait. Now, our learner portrait sums up the reasoning behind our pedagogy and our philosophy. At the center of everything that we do is your child. Your child is a unique individual, and the character of your child and how that develops into becoming a full adult that will take an important part in the society around us today. Using the 21st century skills that were first espoused back in 2000 by 100 top companies, what we're looking for when we're working with your child is flexibility, investigation, communication, knowledge construction, and thinking. Now, those are the 5 prime skills that we're looking for. Those are the important skills that students will need as they move into the 21st century, from the primary school, moving on to the secondary school, moving on into university, and then on into the real life in the job market afterwards. Now, what surrounds all of those is the ultimate goal of our program: to reach a true cross-cultural practitioner, someone who is fluent in both English and Putonghua, someone who is able to go into the culture where these languages are spoken and blend seamlessly into those countries, into those cultures, being able to use the language as a local, as a native would, understanding the dialects, understanding the slang, and being able to use it in appropriate manners, and understanding the cultural underpinnings behind the use of the language. From our early childhood all the way through to our secondary section, we have a through train. So once you join us, and you can join us at 6 months, you can be with us all the way until you're 18 years of age when you finish at the secondary section. In fact, if your child decides at that point that they really wish to follow on a career in education for early childhood, we run one of Asia's only colleges that's attached to a school that provides a Bachelor of Education in Early Childhood Teaching. So you could well be with us from 6 months until 21 and graduate with a Bachelor of Arts in Education for Early Childhood, truly from babes to bachelor. And it all starts in our early childhood section, and it's underpinned by one of our great philosophical outputs, in fact, a unique teaching experience that we call our 12 values, that starts off with something that as parents we all think is very important, but often does not shine through in the rest of the world. And that is, children are all worthy of our respect and should be listened to. Now, as parents, we all understand this, that makes sense to us, but sometimes in the real world, that really doesn't seem to make sense. And we've all heard horror stories at schools where this does not happen. So as our first value in our values of teaching as we go through the school, that's our first one. Children are worthy of our admiration and our respect. And it finally comes out at the 12th value of becoming that cross-cultural practitioner. And those 12 values are uniquely recognized now in the world as a unique YCIS teaching philosophy, much in the same way that the Montessori or the Reggio Emiliana have very unique educational teaching practices. So as we saw earlier on, we were a pioneer of play-based learning, and in play-based learning since the 1970s. And quite simply, this follows on not just from one of those modern, exciting philosophies that have come around into teaching. This actually is based a great deal on something that was said 2,000 years ago by a very famous man in China called Confucius. You may have heard of him, who actually said it's better to have an interest in something than just to know about it. And even better than that, it's better to be excited and have a delight in what you're doing than just have an interest in it. And simply put, if our children are excited and interested in what they're doing and enjoying what they're doing, they will learn better than anything else. Just think about your own life now as an adult. When you are at work, when do you do your best work? Is it when you are enjoying what you're doing, you understand the reason behind what you're doing, and it is your work that you're putting into everything? Or is it when someone is standing behind you, shouting at you, telling you to get on? We all know the answer. Very easy question. Obviously, it's the first option. And if that's what we have as adults in our working life, why should it be any different to children? Again, think back to your childhood. Was school a place where you were interested all of the time, not just at playtime? Was school a place where you were having a delight, where you were enjoying what you were doing, not just at lunchtime when you were chatting with your friends, but actually the lessons? Were your lessons so interesting and exciting that if another adult walked into the classroom, you wouldn't even know it because you were so engrossed in your work? That's the concept behind play-based learning, allowing the students that ability to learn through play, learning through enjoyment, learning through fun. And in that process, learning at their pace, at their speed, and learning the things that they need to learn, so that we're not teaching things that they already know, we're teaching them things that they want to know. That concept that was introduced by Confucius more than 2,000 years ago carries on from the early childhood with their learning through play. It moves on into our project-based learning, which takes place between years 1 and 9, following Chung's international curriculum. Again, a very unique curriculum that has as its backbone the standards from the national curriculum for England and Wales, but has drawn on the best quality learning experiences from curricula from around the world. We have aspects from Singapore, the mainland. We have aspects from the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and even the United Kingdom itself. And these allow us to have our unique curriculum, which is in use all the way through our schools. But it also allows us, when we're doing this project-based learning, this inquiry-based learning, to train children to use skills rather than remember facts, and to actually put into place those 5 circles that we saw, those 21st century skills that we saw back in the Lorna portrait, which allows them then to transfer those skills from any school they go to, any of the schools that they transfer to within our organization. And if, because you've moved to a place where we do not exist yet, you go to another school there, it's these skills that will allow them not just to do well, but to excel in another school and beyond school into university. So in that project-based learning, we follow a unit of about 8 weeks from years 1 to 9. All of the subjects are interconnected and combined to allow us then to have our real use application for what we're doing. So we're not just learning English because it's learning English, we're learning it because there's a reason behind it. We're not just learning maths because it's maths, there's a reason behind what we're learning and putting it into real life practice. And as we're doing that, here is a bad word that you often will never hear in a school. We want our children to be having a happy learning journey. happy and fun and excitement, often words that are looked down upon by schools, but form, as you saw, the cornerstone of our philosophy. And in that center is always our child, our unique individual that we have brought into the world. And our character education is so important for the development of our children. So we're looking at life skills, things like conflict resolution, things like internet safety, and how those can be helpful for us as we're growing up. We have an organization called the Keyholder, where students are able to become the link between children in the class and the teacher themselves. We're looking at mentoring, where we have a vertical alignment of students, where our year 4, year 5, year 6 students have older brothers and sisters from higher up in the school who give them advice, give them suggestions, give them help. And for our older students, they will have younger brothers and sisters that they can then support and help. We have our character education curriculum, which has been designed very specifically with creating that cross-cultural practitioner to go out into the world and to make the world a better place as a servant leader. And then, of course, we've got our student leaders that will be the creme de la creme, the top leaders of our school, who are the connection between the school and the community, and they're the ones who represent the school in major events. We also have, once we get into the secondary section, a series of uniform groups, such as the Girl Guides, the Adventure Corps, the Red Cross and Scouts. And these are a great way of organizing our children and getting them connected into the outside community with groups that actually go out into the community to do good. And this just enhances their character as it's part of their service leadership. So that international curriculum that we talked about just now, that takes us from years 1 to 9, and it moves us forward up to year 10. Once we get to year 10 and 11, we're looking at the IGCSE program. And then in years 12 and 13, we return to the IB diploma and the IB system there. And once our children have graduated from year 13 with their IB, they head off to university. With our IB and IGCS results, we're expanding and increasing our results every year. This year, we managed a remarkable perfect score of 45, and both the students who got those started with us in our early childhood and went through us all the way through school. 5 students were able to achieve that score of 44. 34 of our students achieved more than 40 points. And with an overall score of 37.3. Now, I understand from my secondary colleagues that the average score around the world is 30 or slightly lower, so 37.3 is remarkably good. Our IGCSE highlights were just as good, with 15 students receiving straight A's, 8 stars and above. The most notable part of our education system, however, is the 100% university acceptance level that we have reached through our UGO, our University Guidance Officers. Now, our UGO are widely recognized as the best university guidance officers in southern China, and we are often asked to take our UGO officers out to other schools, not just part of our section, but are borrowed by other schools around southern China to assist them in getting their students into university as well. And when we're looking at our university placements, we're looking at schools like Tsinghua. We managed to get students into Tsinghua today, Peking University in China, obviously the Hong Kong U, Chinese University here in Hong Kong, but also Oxford and Cambridge in the United Kingdom, McGill in Canada, Stanford and Duke in the United States, and the University of New South Wales and others in Australia. And like I said, our university guidance officers don't just wait until year 13 to start making contact with our students. They actually come all the way down to year 7 and start working with our students from year 7 onwards to ensure that they're prepared and ready. And their mission statement essentially is that every student that gets to year 13, every student that graduates at year 13 will have a place that is appropriate for them on a degree that they wish to be doing. Now, it's not all fun. Sometimes we do whole school special activities as well, and nothing brings a school together like these special activities. Now, In Hong Kong, we have 10 campuses. That's 5 ECE campuses, 3 or 4 primary campuses, and a secondary campus. And that's pushing about 3,000 students. So getting us all together is next to impossible unless we have some special events. And we have a sports day where we all get together and celebrate athletics and sports. We have an international day where we all celebrate nations from around the world where we come from, and we have students from 43 different nationalities around our school, and the teachers from just as many, and we all get together to celebrate our homeland and its achievements, and then we get to celebrate other people's homelands and achievements as well. We have a big draw day, which is a remarkable activity that takes place from the United Kingdom that celebrates art. We have Christmas activities, Lunar New Year activities, book days, open days. Our open day is in June, and we'd like to invite everybody to come along and join us here in Kowloon. We have excursions, we have world classrooms where our students go overseas on journeys of support and help to local communities around the world. We go out for camping trips, and we have science weeks. So many special activities that draw the whole school together from all of our disparate campuses. And now with the modern technology that we have, on some of these days, we're actually drawing in our sister schools from across the border, from California and from the United Kingdom, to really bring us all together. On top of all of that, we do have co-curricular or after-school activities. Pretty much anything that you would like to participate in, we can. Here are some of our highlights. Obviously, we've got sporting activities like football, basketball, swimming, golf, and volleyball. We've got music in our class and our high-class orchestras, choirs. We do a musical every year, both primary one, secondary one, and a whole school one where everyone is invited to join in. We have songwriting, speech competitions. We have Spanish, Italian, German, book clubs. We've got coding, robotics, astronomy, and we've got just about everything that anybody could be interested in. And if we don't do it, all you have to do is ask us, and we can find someone who will do it. And on top of that, these are the most important things for us as parents and us as teachers, our students and their achievements. And our students go out and they achieve not just in the academic world, but in the sporting world and in the musical world. And that is really what we're aiming for, our children to achieve their potential and to be able to become that cross-cultural practitioner to go out into the world and do good. So why choose YCIS? Why choose us? It's our character formation. It's our focus on bilingualism. It's East meeting West, the best of two worlds coming together in a positive way, that we're globally competent, we're multicultural environment with our 100% university acceptance rate. That's YCIS. That's who we are. Thank you very much, Jennifer, and thank you very much, Vivian, for allowing us time to talk to the parents. And thank you, parents, for putting up with my voice this afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Forrest. That was a very, very good presentation introducing Ymca International School. Very impressive IB scores and also amazing college admissions, I have to say. So from here, we will move on to the Q&A session. Just like before, we will start off the questions and answers in English, and I'll invite Vivian to do the translation into Mandarin for both questions and answers. So moving on to our first question, Mr. Forrest. One of the attractions of a school to a parent is the learning and teacher support given to students. Specifically for the learning of Chinese, which I know Ymca is very strong at. If my child is not a native Chinese speaker, what support do you have for non-native Chinese speaking families who wish to join the native stream, please? Will non-native Chinese speaking students be able to take the bilingual IB diploma? Or is there any streaming in the primary Chinese program as well?
Okay, well, it's a fantastic question. Thank you for that, Jennifer. Speaking as a parent who has non-Chinese speaking children, that was always my concern when I first came to Hong Kong. But typically non-native speaking children join us will enter the Chinese program as part of the Chinese as an additional language stream, or what we call our CAL. Classes for these are typically smaller. There's about 12 to 15 as a maximum in these classes. They have a teacher that's specifically trained in that second language acquisition. The teacher focuses on vocabulary development through a tailored reading program. Language production is practice of plenty of speaking and listening activities in small groups. In fact, we start off really with the conversational aspect of it because that's always the best way to learn. Now, our learning communities model is that bilingual students will have both a Chinese and an English-speaking teacher, as we talked about. So our CAL students, these Chinese as additional language students, can be supported in their understanding, both by their teachers and by their peers, their fellow students. And students are carefully grouped when we're carrying out collaborative work so that they're able to explore these concepts, not just in their own mother tongue, but in their other tongue as well, their Chinese as an additional language tongue. So they make great progress. If they're making that great progress in the CAL class, we actually look at them very carefully to see if they're appropriate to transfer across to a mainstream first language class. Now, that obviously is a massive step for someone who has only just been learning Chinese in the CAL class to join a native speaking class that's at the same level. That is incredible. It happens quite a bit because the CAL program is so successful. But before that happens, it's important that this is done in really close consultation with both the language teachers, English and Chinese. Now, non-native Chinese speaking students are always encouraged and supported to take that bilingual diploma that takes place in IB. And as we go down, as we go down into the primary section, our Chinese language classes are divided still into that CAL and mainstream programs. And the mainstream programs down there are then differentiated further for the individual needs and skills of the students, because students will have differing levels of Putonghua, whether they're native speakers or they're overseas returning Chinese, or whether they're just the CAL students in particular.
Great, thank you so much for sharing that. I'd like to invite Vivian to translate question and answer into Mandarin, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer and Mr. Murray Forrest. 那现在我用中文来重复一下刚刚的提问和解答。我们第一个问题就是学校对于家长的吸引力之一呢，是为学生提供的学习和教师的支持。那么具体来说呢，在中文学习方面，如果我们的孩子不是以中文为母语的，那请问您对希望加入母语班的非中文家庭有哪一些支持呢？非中文母语班的学生是否能够获得双语 IB 的文凭呢？有没有初级中文课程的班呢？ Mr. Murray Forrest 的回答是这样的，加入我们的这个非母语儿童呢，将会通过中文作为附加语言班进入的。那么这些班级呢，通常的话呢，我们的规模都比较小，最多就是12到15个学生，并且呢，会有一名专门接受第二语言习得培训的这位教师去带领的。那么老师呢，会通过量身定制的阅读计划，专注于我们的词汇发展，语言的产生呢，将会在小组中进行大量的这个口语和听力的活动。那么学习社区的模式也是双语的，学生呢会有一名中文和一名说英语的老师，这样的话呢，就可以支持到在 CAL 学生的一个理解。在展开这个工作的时候呢，学生都会被很小心的去分组然后呢，让他们能够比较恰当的去探索两种语言的概念。在 CAL 课程当中取得良好进展的这些学生呢，他们是可以考虑在进入我们第一语言的课程当中和其他的学生一起去学习的。那么但是这个最重要的就是和英语和汉语的老师有一个紧密的协商。我们是非常鼓励和支持非汉语的母语的学生去获得这个双语文凭的。对于小学部分呢，汉语课程会分为 CAL 和主流的课程。那么主流课程呢，也是根据学生的个人需求和技能进一步去区分的，因为每个学生的程度都是不一样的。OK， 好呢，那么接下来的时间我会交给 Jennifer， 我们进行第二个提问，谢谢。
Thank you, Vivian. Mr. Forrest, we'll move on to the second question. I know you've gone through your presentation that you have mentioned it before. I understand, YCIS emphasizes a bilingual education for children aged 6 to 18 years old. May I ask you to share again the percentage of secondary students graduating with the bilingual English-Chinese IB? And then also a couple of colleges, you can share the names of the top universities the graduates of YCIS do go to. Last question is, what is the student to counselor ratio for secondary students at YCIS? Do you see more kids applying into science or humanities degree for further education?
I did cover some of this, but I actually specifically skipped out on that part, so because I knew that would be a question you may well ask. So this year, 67% of our students actually graduated with a bilingual diploma at the IB level, and typically we get somewhere between 65 to 70% on an annual basis. So in terms of enrolling in science or humanity degrees, very interesting figures. So for humanities, we had about 18 students, science about 20, then medicine about 3. So we combine science and medicine together. We're seeing humanities and science are still roughly equal. But then on the business side, we've got about 28 students. And then from engineering, we've got a further 8. So if we're just talking pure humanities and science, it's about 50-50, but then we've got business as well. So that's quite a split there. So yeah, there's a significant number of children who are still doing humanities as well as science. But then there's still that larger number looking at business. As for universities, we obviously we've got the University of Hong Kong, Chinese University of Hong Kong take large numbers of our students. The Hong Kong University of Science and Technology is quite high on our lists, followed by the University of British Columbia, the University of Toronto, both in Canada, University College London in the United Kingdom, Tsinghua University, obviously up in the mainland, Oxford and Emory, and then finally Imperial College London. Those are kind of like our top 10 universities this year for students' locations. Now, each student is assigned their own individual university guidance counselor. So every student has their own one they work with. Now, we've got 5 internal counselors, but then we've got links with individuals across the foundation. That's across all of our schools. So if we find that there's a university guidance officer in Beijing who is awesome with students who want to get into Peking University, then obviously what we'll do is connect them with our students who are looking to go in there, and they'll give them that advice that they need, because then they've got that specialist knowledge, they've got that experience in different areas of studies, and they may well understand the different countries of application, so that a student is always able to meet with a counsellor who's best placed to advise them. A really important bit. Now, the counsellors meet students as a whole class, so that's about 20 students, to look at information about admissions and procedures, but then they hold regular meetings with individual students and parents if they really need it and if they want it. And the closer in towards the admission and the creation of those individual pieces of writing that are often required for entrance, that takes place towards the end on an individual basis as well.
Amazing. Very, very strong counseling support for students, and the extensive network of Yuzhong in China. That's great for those looking at Tsinghua, Beida, Fudan University. Very, very much a lot of experience there. So I'd like to invite Vivian to translate our question and answer into Mandarin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer and Mr. Murray. 我们第2个问题是，我们了解到耀中呢是强调对6到18岁的儿童的双语教育。那么，请问你们的中学生有多少呢是获得了这个中英双语 IB 学位的？那耀中的学生被录取的大学录取的结果是怎么样呢？说出排名前10的大学。那么耀中中学的学生与辅导员的比例是多少？是否会有更多的学生在高等教育中攻读科学或者是人文学位的？Mr. Murray Forrest 的回答是这样的。那么今年呢，我们有67%的学生是获得了这个 IP 水平的双语文凭。那么通常呢，每年都会有65%到70%的双语文凭的。那么在今年我们即将毕业的学生，他们进入大学的一些信息是这样：人文科学呢有18个学生，读科学的话呢是有20个，医学的话有3个，读商业的学生相对来说比较多啊，有28个，读工程的话有8位。那么我们的前10的大学排名不是排名哈，我们进入前10个比较出名的大学，包括有我们的香港大学、香港中文大学、香港科技大学、英国哥伦比亚大学、多伦多大学、伦敦大学学院，还有清华大学、牛津大学、艾默里大学、英国伦敦理工学院等等。那么我们每个学生呢都会被分配到他们的叫做一个叫大学指导的顾问，那么我们会有5个的内部顾问。那同时的话呢，也会与基金内其他在不同学习领域和不同申请国家拥有专业知识和经验的人建立了这个密切的联系。因此的话呢，孩子们总是能够与最合适为他们提供建议的这些顾问去会面。他刚刚也举了一个例子，就是北京的一个学校一个学生得到了非常正确的一个指引包括得到单独的会面和指导。那么我们的辅导员与全班的学生大概有20名的学生呢去会面， 一起去查看这个招生的信息和程序。那么如果学生和家长愿意的话呢，也会定期的与他们去会面的。好，那么这是以上呢，就是我们第2个问题的一个提问和解答。接下来交给 Jennifer， 时间交给 Jennifer， 我们进行第3个提问，谢谢。
Thank you, Vivian. Mr. Forrest, so our final question for today is, can you please tell us about the admission process and selection at YCIS? How much emphasis is put on the child's interview, academic assessment, and is English Mandarin fluency a prerequisite for students who transfer laterally in primary or secondary from another school? Will you give priority to families coming from China with Chinese passport? What if my child's English fluency is not very strong? Is there any bridging program for children to move them back to mainstream English?
Yeah, very good question, Jennifer. Really, the interview for us, the conversation between the child and the interviewers is actually the really important part. When we're interviewing a child, we actually consider them holistically, and we're looking at the whole child rather than just their academics. We don't look and we look at their language proficiency in both English and in Chinese, but they don't need fluency in both. What we're looking for is an ability to understand at least one. And if they have Chinese, but they don't have English, that's fine. If they have English, but they don't have Chinese, that's fine. We have programs to teach the other language as well as the first language. What we really want to do is establish how we can best meet the children's needs. So we're really interested in students who like to think outside the box, they're inquisitive, like to collaborate. Those 5 circles on the learner portrait are really what we're looking for students. Now, just as your child is a unique individual, we treat all of our students equally, but as individuals. We don't give priority to any applicant from any location or any applicant based on where they've come from. Now, if they do experience difficulty in either English or Chinese, we do offer language support. We talked about the CAL program earlier just now. We have an equivalent English language program that does exactly the same thing. Now, these are all within timetable and all work with students. There's nothing after school. There's no tutor programs. And it's either done as an individual basis, depending on need, or they can work as part of a group that's an accelerator group to bring them up to speed as quickly as they can. But at all times, what we look at is the child as an individual and what that child needs to help support them in their learning journey with us.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Forrest. Vivian, please translate into Mandarin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Mr. Murray, 我们第3个提问是能否请你介绍一下药中的录取程序以及选拔的过程，对孩子的面试、学业评估以及英语或者普通话流利程度是否从其他学校进入这个其他学校横向转入我们这个中学或者是小学的学生有一个先决条件。那么你们会优先考虑持中国护照从中国来的家庭吗？那么如果我的孩子的英语流利程度不是很高，那怎么办呢？是不是有任何的一个衔接的课程可以帮助我的孩子在学校上能够跟得上学校的主要课程？ Mr. Murray Forrest 的回答是这样的，在面试孩子的时候呢，我们会从整体上去考虑他们，而不单单是在学业方面。我们会考察他们对2种语言的熟练程度以及他们以及确定我们如何最好的满足他们需求的方法。因为呢，我们是有相应的课程去培训孩子的。我们对那些喜欢跳出框框思考、好奇喜欢合作的这些学生是非常感兴趣的。那么我们所有的学生呢，都会受到平等和单独的一个对待，没有说优先考虑任何的申请人的。那么如果学生确实在英语或者在中文方面遇到困难的话呢，我们有一个时间表按照这个时间表进行去学习。我们也对学生有一个独立的支持，为他们提供语言的支持。那这可以是个人的，也可以是作为一个我们叫快速小组的一部分工作，所以这个方面可以帮助到孩子更加快的去适应到我们学校的课程。好，那么以上就是我们今天2所学校的介绍和我们的 Q&A 的环节。那么我们今天的这个部分到这里感谢 Mr. Murray, Forrest and Jennifer.
Thank you, Mr. Forrest, for joining us today. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I wish you a fantastic weekend, and I'm sure we'll see you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, and thank you, Vivian. Bye-bye, parents.
Thank you.
Bye.
So now I think we'll move on to our next presenter, which is from Protection Immigration Services. I will pass that to Vivian to do the introduction. Thank you.
好，那接下来呢，就是我们讲座最后一个部分的内容。根据以往的经验呢，我们有不少的家长呢比较关心来香港读书是怎样解决我们这个签证问题的。那么今天呢，我们请来了移民咨询机构信德堡移民专家。那么今天我们会由 Eddie Yu 来介绍。好，我们的 Eddie Yu 呢，他是保德信移民的项目经理，他在移民行业有超过10年的经验了。他曾经也是任 IELTS 的 supervisor 总监他会非常清楚熟悉香港地区以及英国、美国、加拿大这些主流移民国家的一些移民政策。那么接下来的时间，我们把时间交给 Eddie Yu， 谢谢。
谢谢。好，那我们就到下一页吧。好吧。OK， 这是刚刚我的介绍了，可以跳过了。然后其实我想介绍一下我旁边的这位女士，她其实是我一个她是我的同事，也是常年的好朋友。然后我们都是保德信的员工。然后像我的话，对香港美英加移民比较熟悉。然后这位 Naomi 女士，我旁边的这位 Naomi 女士呢，就是对香港还有欧洲的移民政策是很详细的，是知道的很了解的。OK， 那今天就由Naomi 和我一起来进行这个香港移民政策的相关的讲解，好吧？请到下一页。
谢谢大家这么耐心听今天的讲座。那我们讲座内容就是会有以下这几点，我们会精简的去跟大家分享保德信移民的背景还有那个香港专才优才和 ING 的讲解，这些都是来香港的一个途径。然后有香港的 Q&A 啦，还有申请香港移居的一个比较优势的地方，就是它可以零签证。零做公证，就是这样，不是签证是公证。好，那我们在介绍公司的时候，一定会介绍背景的时候会介绍我们公司的创办人，就下一页。好了，那我们创办人我就要跟大家分享一下我们的左手边的2位创办人，就是我们的冯月芝先生和陈嘉丽小姐，他们都是在保德信已经相当长的经验了，超过10年建立了我们的公司而且呢，在资产配置、在移民这块非常专业，在经营这块，特别我要赞赏我们2位老板，他们对教育这块呢非常非常的有心的。就是我们移民这块会跟海外一些升学留学或者海外一些教育也很多家长都是为移民都是为孩子的教育的，所以在海外这块，我们的冯业执行先生做得很好。另外，我们的陈嘉丽小姐呢，这个老板呢，很欣赏她。我们这1、2年呢，也很多内地移民专才或者 ING 或者优才来香港，都是在内地这块呢的渠道或者帮助内地移民来香港这块做得非常好，而且很大的贡献。而且呢，就是说在教育这方面，他也是创办大亚湾企业专才的学院的。好，另外就是右边这三位的预警高官，我就交给你了 ，Eddie。
对，这也是我们公司和其他做香港移民公司很大的一个区别，就是我们公司是有3位的前入境处的官员和主任来加盟我们公司。请到下一页了，谢谢。OK， 可以到下一页了。对，也就我们现在放大一点来看的话，像刘先生，还有廖女士，还有这个叶先生，其实都是我们的同事，因为他们在入境处呢是已经有超过30年或者有6年以上的工作经验呢，可以帮我们来很好的去协助我们来审理每个申请的个案，然后保证这个成功率。 特别是最右边的这位叶社呢，他其实之前在入境处超过6年的任职时间，就主要是负责这个专才和优才的审批的。那我们待会儿呢，其实也会重点来介绍一下专才和优才的这个审批的过程，它是需要注意哪些方面，或者它最基本的要求是什么。然后请到下一页。OK， 那也正是我们这么多年的工作经验相关的前入境处主任和高官的加盟，让我们是成为香港的，特别是在香港移居这一块，我们是作为项目的香港移居的项目方来进行操作的。因为不同的国家其实在不同的宪法之下都有相关的移民政策，那我们保德信就是在 A 就右边这一部分显示的 A 这一块呢，我们是作为项目的发展商来跟雇主来进行接洽，然后帮客户来写相关的计划书，然后我们也会跟相关的政府部门进行磋商来解决申请人的各种的问题。所以我们作为一家移民公司的话，香港这一块我们是一个拳头的产品，也是我们最值得骄傲的地方。OK， 请到下一页。OK， 那其实 Nami， 我们知道，其实我们在这个平时的服务客户的过程当中，客户也会经常提到一些香港移居的相关的问题啦。然后一般我们会客户问的最多的问题，我们也做了一些总结。一般
那这个我觉得问你是香港最好不过了，因为我知道你也是内地来到香港的。那我就是说问一下啊，如果香港身份这块在香港，你对于香港一些身份或者教育，你觉得有什么优势啦？你的孩子也在香港就学。
其实我是觉得香港它作为一个有这么长的，它一个有着中西合璧的这种文化还有历史的传统，它在于教育这一块，特别刚刚我们在这场讲座之前一直提到了2所国际学校所介绍那样，它是有真正纯正的国际学校的。OK， 它是有相关的像这种 IPC 的课程啦，然后通过不同的课程来培养这个学生正确的教育观啦，然后发展国际视野，同时成为一个真正的国际性的人才。OK， 那同时它又是很重视这个中国文化和语言的，我觉得这一点也是非常的重要，因为大家都是中国人嘛，不能说把英语写好了，然后把自己的文化或者说语言给疏忽了，这样也并不好。
是啊，这一点非常好。另外还有一点就是可以透过在来到香港之后，他可以成为跳板，也可以在海外一些学校学院去就学了。
对，那是
所以那中式文化他也吸收了。
对，其实我这边都还想再补充说一点，也就是很多从内地过来的学生，他本身会讲普通话，这已经是全球说的人数最多的一种语言。然后来了国际学校，在掌握好英语之后，他其实就在掌握了另外一种国际通用的语言。但是在香港的话，通过日常的生活啦交流，他还会学会粤语，这是全球其实是使用人数最多的一种方言，可以这么说。其实全球有将近1亿人在说粤语的，所以在香港读完国际学校之后，我们就说语言这一块就会有一个很大的优势了，包括语言这一块。那在香港当然学习不仅仅是这些，如果你通过在香港的读书，你也可以参加香港的高考嘛，就我们所说的 DSE 啦，然后可以通过 DSE 的成绩来申请香港本地的著名大学，或者也可以申请海外的大学。那当然，如果是有些学生他希望能回到中国内地来进行学习的话，其实也是可以通过这个港澳台的联考来完成，港澳台的联考来申请内地的大学。因为其实我们说内地的大学如果是高考的话，一年超过1000万的考生来竞争这些好的一本的大学是很困难的。如果可以通过港澳台联考的话，它其实是以更少的人数，还有相对更容易的考试难度来弯道超车进入国内的名牌大学。比如在香港读书，它是具备了种种的优势的。 然后我这边想提醒一下主持人，我这边的屏幕好像一直没有出来。
没事，但是我们也会
我们已经
自言去表达。
我们已经裸讲了好久了。OK， 这就是对，刚刚我们已经其实相当于已经把第一个问题给解答了，也就是香港教育的优势，最主要的就是说父母特别关心的。那当然了，还有一些像投资和就业的环境，这些优势，相信大多数有可能在座的各位家长有可能比我们更了解，因为比如说香港它作为一个自由的经济体了，它没有什么外汇管制了，然后它的投资市场是很成熟的。那今天是作为一个教育的讲座，我们就不展开说这一块。
那我想问，如果要移居香港的话，知道要通过一些途径来了，那可以自己 DIY 申请移居香港吗？
其实我想说的是，如果我们去到入境处的网站去看的话，它都有着相关的介绍，但是这是给一个最基本的框架出来，会有个框架告诉你要基本的文件是什么，你要满足的基本条件。那如果是涉及到每个人的身上来说的话，它就不一样。比如说像优才，有些人会觉得很简单，因为优才是计分制，有些人会觉得很简单，但它本身有可能就是和一些很牛的人，他本身就是清华北大或者是国外常春藤大学毕业，他本身学历这一项就已经拿了满分，然后又是正好是属于单打字联30岁左右又拿了满分，所以他会觉得很简单。那大多数人并不是这样，大多数人有可能就都是平常人嘛，有各自的优点也有缺点。那如何在这种比较正常的情况下能够脱颖而出呢？那就要有相关的这个专业人员进行协助了。或者
所以我经常会想呢，专业的事情就交给专业人士做。
对啊，
好像你为什么香港需要一些专业人士？不要说香港，每一个地方都需要，可以律师啊、医生啊，有病就找医生，或者要打官司找律师，你总不会找教师，就是这样啊。
对，隔行如隔山嘛。比如说我们虽然都是移民行业的，但是你有客户要问到美国，就要来找我。
对啊，
我的客户要问到欧洲葡萄牙，我要来找你。
对啊。
OK。所以当然也有蛮多人会说我自己 DIY 啦，自己动手试一下。那当然很多事情自己动手是可以做的，只是做出来的结果是不一样的。OK， 所以我们还是建议，如果有希望能申请到香港身份的人士呢，还是要通过专业人员的协助来完成。因为这个申请它并不是说你自己动手组装一个什么玩具啊，装个空调的。它的结果导向是很严重的，要么成功，要么失败。如果之前 DIY 的那些文件递进去是有些不妥的地方，那白纸黑字已经进去了，你是很难去更改的。对，所以一开始有个专业的移民公司、专业的人士来帮忙辅导，保证成功率是更加重要的。
那当然一定要找我们保德信啊！那为什么要找我们保德信呢？
就我刚刚已经说到，就我们跟其他公司有很大的不同。就我们是有全入境处的高官和主任来加盟的。我知道移民公司是很多，但很多移民公司它虽然成立了也蛮长时间了，但相关的经验更多的是内部的人员口口相传了，或者说在不停的试 OK， 这样做不对那样做，所以他们积累的更多是一种中介经验。但我们保德信呢有前入境处的主任加盟的话，是真正是有相关的部门经验，就我们的一个案子要怎么处理，或者我们的文书要怎么去写，是入境处真正希望看到的东西，而不是通过不正确的一些做法去试这个成功率是不对的。我甚至看到有一些中介，其他一些中介他也不懂这个要怎么办，就百度一下了，Google 一下了，这其实是对客户很不负责的一种做法。
对呀，因为我们公司还有一个非常之庞大、专业、负责任的文案团队，所以这些团队也是给客户一些申请的过程，给他们安心啦，稳妥啦，就是这样。
对，好，那我们现在进到下面的环节，就是来进行，我们会重点介绍香港最主要的移居方式，也就是ING 这种读书来香港进修的移民方式。还有一种是优才还有专才的方式，我们会一一介绍。请到下一页，谢谢薇薇。
好了，那个 ING 就是非本地毕业生留港的计划，这个呢其实不是刚刚的，已经好几年了而且很多申请人也透过这个计划拿了香港身份证啦，也在香港居住啦 其实申请人就是很简单，你就是需要一个非香港本地的毕业生，他获得学士学位或以上啊。但是有点要注意的地方，就是要毕业之后半年内申请的而且他这个呢就是比较好一点，他没有配额的，他没有限制你一年要有4000还是8000，就是而且没有限制那个行业是一定要什么行业才可以申请，没有的
没有的。其实我们现在蛮多的客户，比如说他的小朋友要来香港读书，妈妈也想过来陪，但是妈妈用什么身份呢？总不能旅游签证过来嘛。
对呀。
那妈妈也可以去到香港读个研究生啊。然后其实在读研究生期间他就已经有身份证了，有香港身份证了，可以合法的居住在香港。然后研究生毕业之后，他又会获得这种我们叫做非本地毕业生的留港签证，就是 ING。那拿这个 ING 签证呢，这位家长也可以在香港找工作，然后同时呢也可以陪伴在香港读书的子女成长。
而且这个比较简单优惠的方式来香港，也可以帮助一些家长就是重新再进修自己，提升自己的学历或者一些知识层面。对，
这相当于说是他的受众群体比较广，只要有时间，然后经济上允许，有一定的英文基础，然后跟学历的背景，他就可以申请来香港读硕士，然后通过进修的方式来获得ING， 然后进一步的留在香港。
那下面这个图就是这个流程啊。首先我们每一个移民香港的项目那个途径，我们都会给客户填那个评估表然后就是说也要签那个合约，到时候就是可以准备一些文件，递交之后啦，就是会帮他们处理的，大概时间就比较很快，几个月就可以办理那个香港身份证出来了。但是有个优势就是获批的续签，这个就2+3+3直到那个永久香港居民身份。
好，那这个是我们的 ING 计划，就简要的说到这。再进到下面一个是香港优秀人才的路径计划。就我们在业内的话呢，会说这个香港优秀人才计划，把它简称为优才的计划。那它顾名思义，它对申请人的要求会比较高一些，因为它不仅是需要是一个人才还是需要一个很优秀的人才。总体来说呢，它这个计划是一个计分制，也就是要来打分，满分呢220分。那我们一般认为你至少要80分才有其实是要80分才有资格去递交申请。但是80分其实并没有什么竞争力，我们一般来说要120分才可以有一定的竞争力，对，有竞争才能胜出。 OK， 然后它的要求就是申请人呢需要18周岁以上，这个是年龄的最低的界限。它作为一个计分制，对于年龄也是有计分的，如果超过40岁就开始扣分了。所以总体来说是18岁到39分到39岁之间，它的分数是最高的。然后呢，具备良好的学历啦，学士以上是一个基本的要求。当然如果你有个双学位啦，或者硕士以上、博士以上的学位，那个分数就会更高。如果有海外或者国内的名校的学位，比如说你是清华、北大、上海交大毕业的，那它还有额外的加分。 OK， 那一般我们都是用综合计分制来打分的，也就我刚刚提到的总分是220分的这种计分系统。因为成就计分的话，它是属于那种怎么描述呢？高端的高端是说高端吗？总之是特别有成就的，比如说我们举例来说，什么诺贝尔奖获得者奥运金牌获得者然后艺术方面什么金鸡奖百花奖这种，才直接拿成就积分的，直接来获得永居的。大多数人士都是通过综合计分制来打分，然后脱颖而出的。但是分数怎样才能被认可呢？并不是说，比如说硬性分数是肯定没问题你的年龄不能改变，学历不能改变，那你之前过往的一些工作经验呢，你是不是属于这个人才清单这一块呢？这都需要专业的移民公司，还有我刚才提到的这个我们的前入境处的主任高官，他们来帮我们来详细的来制定这个申请的文书和申请的方案，来让他们的能力被认可，然后同时能拿到相应的分数。这就是香港优才计划 它作为一个计分制，简单的概括要求了。OK， 所以它这个就比较挑人了，如果分数达不到，就确实没有办法通过这个优才来获得申请。OK， 那我们可以到下一页。
但是因为优才有它的名额配额。
一年是有4000个配额，但其实4000个配额每年也用不完，其实是用不完，因为其实每年审核的这个入境处在审核这个案子的时候，它并不是说名额多就会放松条件的，它还是把这个条件，还是胜者优，就说优胜，就说成绩高的才能被录用嘛，被 pass。OK， 然后它的续签要求的话也是2+3+3，然后有些优才的话呢，它达到一定的收入，比如说一年有200万以上的收入的话，其实可以直接达到6年的这个签证的。OK， 然后所以它这适合的人群呢，就是行业的翘楚啦、精英人才啦，或者演艺界或者运动方面的冠军啦。对，然后综合计分制呢是需要达到120分以上的。然后如果有外语的成绩，比如说雅思有6分以上啊，托福有80分以上，还有额外加分。对。
还有小朋友啊，配偶有那个本科学历也可以加分的这些。
如果配偶也是本科以上，还加5分。小朋友未成年也加5分。所以总之到时候我们可以帮家长来分析个人背景情况，然后看看有多少分，用什么方案可以申请。那我们请到下一个请到下一页。下一页就是我们最后要这里说的，我们另外一个叫做输入内地人才计划，就我们俗称的香港的专才。那它呢最显著的一个特点，或者跟优才来相比的话，它并不是一个计分制，而是一个综合考虑的申请方案。OK， 当然申请人的话呢，他也是需要18岁以上啦，然后有学士学位啦。然后申请之前的话呢，也就申请这个专才计划之前呢，他就需要获得香港本地的雇主的聘用，也就是有香港本地的公司来聘用你啊。
这块我们做的还不错，毕竟我们公司也是比较品牌一个比较有实力的公司，也是跟一些公司已经有很多年的长期的合作。
因为香港专才的话，当然也有些内地的人士他会自己通过就自己来找香港的雇主了。那更多的有可能并不是可以那么如意的找到香港的雇主。那我们作为一家香港本地的移民公司的话呢，是可以帮助客户根据他们的背景去匹配到适合的香港的公司，然后让他们可以通过这个专才计划获得香港的签证，然后7年之后呢，再转换为这个香港的永久居民。但它这个受众群体就非常的广，因为它不是评分制，它没有真正的硬性的要求。OK， 比如说刚刚的我们的优才计划，你超过40岁，它的分数在年龄这一块就会越来越低。但是输入人才计划，也就是专才，它对年龄没有要求，没有限制的。我们甚至试过有超过68岁，有68岁的人士，他只要有管理经验啦，然后有香港的雇主可以匹配到他的相关的工作背景，他就可以来申请，也获得了成功的批复。
所以呢，我们觉得我们公司做专才这块反而最多受欢迎最多的客户。
对，因为它的受众群体是最高的嘛，最多的。
对呀，除了这样之后，我们的公司也能比较胜在这一批的客户人数这方面，不是每一家公司都可以在这个内地移民香港这个我觉得今年这1-2年是个潮流，是一个高峰的时候，你觉得是不是？我觉得
在疫情之下，
是啊，疫情下算是高峰的。
对，因为包括我之前其实在做雅思考务的时候，好多学生他原先是想着英美澳加或者欧洲的，因为疫情啊或者一些政治因素啊，都真的很从原先的目标的留学地区都转到香港这边。我是见到很多学生是这样的情况。对，
所以移民潮，别人说移民潮，我觉得也是包括在内地移民香港这块也挺多的啊。下一页，
我们可以去到下一页。 对，这边就在总结一下刚刚说的专才，比如说它是没有配额的限制的，它的受众的群体是更广的，但是它这边需要特别注意的就是，它对申请人的背景是有基本的要求，比如说本科以上的学历啦，然后有管理经验啦，同时呢，它对香港雇主，也就是香港公司的背景，它是审核的特别严格，比如说香港公司是哪个行业，它的市场的计划是怎么样，那为什么它是需要在内地来聘请一位员工来工作，这都要把这个来龙去脉给说得很清楚。也就是说，对雇主的要求是很严格的。那我们作为香港一家本地的公司呢，是有相关的这些渠道啊，还有相关的人脉，去帮客户匹配到真正适合他们的香港本地的公司，这是我们的一大优势之一。
所以真的这专才方面，就是内地人士当中各行各业有经验人士、老板，很多我们做的也就是一些比较开公司啦，一些大老板。好，下一页。那这一点值得分享。另外，为什么多内地的客户做移民公司，做移民来香港的这块呢？原因就是在一些内地呢，曾经就是在4月24日呢，就开始了出一个通告。这个通告呢是全国性的一些措施，它也会影响了一些文件的公证。我自己最清楚，就是我本身做海外的欧洲那边或者葡萄牙那边，其实很多文件要做公证认证的或者双认证的一些很麻烦，就是说比较多一层的手续，而且因为疫情的缘故，有的时候呢分了层或者有些情况就是比较困难要办的时候。
其实我们在移民行业都有10多年的工作经历了。如果早期的话，有可能内地办公证还比较简单一点。其实现在内地办公证的话，比如说你办无犯罪公证，他就肯定要问到你是境内用还是境外用，境外用是用在留学还是移民，如实交代，自己白纸黑字写下来。结婚公证出生公证都是类似情况。那如果你要进行海外的投资或者买卖境外的房产，那你要把你的资产再审核一遍，为什么你这些资产是合法的，然后你如果境外有资产，它是怎么来的，总之审核清楚了才可以办出一个公证，所以整个过程还是比较繁琐一些的。那如果办理香港移居的话，它的公证是零需要，甚至说对，你只要提供原件就可以了，甚至不需要翻译，因为本身香港它的官方语言就是这个汉语和英语，所以你的文件只要是原件就可以了，它是汉语或者说英语都 OK， 不需要公证。这也是其实在申请过程当中，这是简化了很多的程序，让申请变得更加的简单。当然在移居来香港还有各种的优势，当然每个人心中的优势会不一样，我们在今天呢也因为时间的限制，我们也并不展开来说。OK， 就把时间留给主持人，或者如果家长有疑问的话，我们也可以进行一些问答环节的互动了。
好，下一页。
对，还没有结束，下一页。对，然后这也很重要，我们要介绍一下自己在哪里。
这个呢，我看到我们公司了办公室的环境和那个地理位置了，你看到有一个地点就是裕港大厦啦，它其实跟那个预警处非常近的，而且非常方便。为什么我们特意要找这个地点呢？因为我们经常就去，文案同事经常每天都来回跑去看，
对，手里抱着文件，
去预警处那里跟那个主任打交道啦，所以跟他们非常是熟识。
这也是我们作为香港公司在这个地理位置是非常大的一个优势，因为特别是在疫情之下，内地的移民公司它也做香港，但是真的要解决问题的时候，当然去到现场去解决是更好，但是如果是在香港以外的话，是不可能说直接来到入境处来解决问题的。所以在这一块的话，我们是有地理上非常明显的优势，可以很大的提高这个申请的效率。
好了，那现在呢，就是给大家看一下我们办公室的环境，因为我知道疫情有很多朋友或者一些中介一些朋友不能来香港参观我们的公司，所以我们特意就拍一些照片给大家来看一看，了解一下从这个公司这个它的一些布置啦，或者一些 一些的摆设方面呢，就是看到我们老板就是很重视这个环境，工作的环境非常之良好，而且给客户提供一个非常之安静而且宽敞的地方，可以给客户招待客户的。
而且我们有很多小的这种玻璃的独立办公室啊，可以保证客户的隐私。然后我们是在这个谢飞道90号的玉港大厦20楼，没有4了，就是20楼一整楼都是我们的。
全楼。
对。
好，
请到下一页，谢谢薇薇。然后这也是我们这么多年来获得的一些，通过不停的努力获得的业内的一些认可，特别是红字标出来的，这个是很有分量的。因为像比如说这2019的金领航的企业大奖啊，是我们在行业内通过跟30多家企业共同竞争，最终来获得的这个奖项。然后像我们的老板，就是我们的行政总裁Christina 女士的话呢，她也在2020年获得了大湾区的杰出女性企业家的称号。好，然后再往下就结束了。
还有最重要一点，最后一页一定要打出来，因为这个呢非常之看了有100%的香港企业，100%的安心可靠。这个不是我们口号，而是真的这是我们的信念，也是我们给客户的一个有安心的叫品牌。
我们说通俗一点，办香港移居肯定找香港的本地企业。对，选香港哪家本地的企业呢？肯定是选保德信，因为刚刚我们一直在强调了，我们地理位置还有前入境处的主任的家门，包括我们专业的团队，可以保证到客户的申请的成功率，并且可以制定不同的方案，根据他们的背景来制定不同的方案来进行申请。
好，今天我们的分享就到此了。
有没有 Q&A 环节啊？如果有家长要问。
是啊。
谢谢2位。
好，谢谢大家这么耐心听了这么长一个讲座哈，谢谢主持人，谢谢。
OK， 好感谢2位非常详尽的一个介绍那相信大家呢都非常的清晰不同的移民方式和政策。那么今天呢，我们也非常感谢两个学校的校长他们的分享和宝贵的一些资讯。同时的话呢，我们感谢企业易比斯和 Whisper 的精心安排，让我们今天的讲座圆满的成功。那么线上的家长如果对今天的2所学校有任何的疑问，可以联系我们的顾问公司。那么现在屏幕上面的电话、邮箱以及我们的2维码都可以去联系到我们香港和深圳的同事。那么呢，我们也会给你们解答任何的问题的。那么今天的讲座呢到此结束了，谢谢大家的参与。最后的话也请 Jennifer 来补充一下。 Thank you Jennifer.
Thank you everyone for joining our webinar today. Please do look out for our next webinar on October 28th. We will have Hong Kong Academy and Wickham Abbey International School presenting. So do keep a lookout for our newsletter. And thank you to Protection Immigration Consultant for the presentation today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.